Institute of Directors, India, hosted yet another edition of the London Global Convention 2023. Held across iconic venues of London, including Hotel, the Montcalm Marble Arch, UK Parliament's House of Lords, and the Regent Street Cinema. The theme for this year's convention was Boards Tryst with ESG and making corporate governance work in the new world economy. The convention saw participation of over 350 delegates across 4 days from industry, government, academia, civil society, prominent Indian diaspora, and diverse stakeholder groups, continuing its legacy of drawing a large number of participants from across the globe.
I would like to invite Lieutenant General Surinder Nath, President, Institute of Directors, India, to come forward and kindly welcome our distinguished guest for the lighting of the lamp.
Initiating the proceeding for the day, the convention started off with the inaugural session, with the President of the Institute of Directors, India, Lieutenant General Surinder Nath, BVSM, AVSM retired, delivering the welcome address.
It has been now realized that to accelerate an effective implementation of the 2030 Agenda for the Climate Change for attaining sustainable developmental goals, businesses have to play a very, very important role.
IOD India has been championing responsible capitalism for many years. As members connected under this aegis, we must take pride that IOD has addressed and upheld several causes before they became in vogue or vital for corporate leaders.
My favourite phrase of Jamsetji's is that society is not a stakeholder of business. Society is the purpose of business. And we try to bring that through in what we do. So 5 of our companies, Motors, Chemical, Steel, Power and Air India, represent about 80% of our carbon. And so there's focus on each of those companies and their decarbonisation strategies because the group has an ambition to reach net zero at 2045.
There are 3 priorities that I would contend we should all consider. First, redesign our supply chains. Secondly, rethink our relationship, in the case of defence, with industry, but in your case, with your wider supply chain. And thirdly, we do need to embrace sustainability and green technology as a key enabler of greater self-sufficiency.
Corporates are no longer just economic entities, but they are the engines of social transformation and sustainable growth. The purpose of corporate governance is to facilitate effective entrepreneurial and effective management that can deliver the long-term success of a company.
The opening session also marked the occasion for the release of the convention souvenir by esteemed dignitaries. Continuing with IOD India's strong legacy and brilliant track record of bringing together eminent leaders, distinguished and esteemed thinkers, renowned experts and policy makers across governments, businesses and civil society, the convention saw deliberations and insightful exchanges on issues pertaining to corporate governance in the new world economy, boards tryst with ESG, and building tech-savvy, diverse, inclusive boards.
At the global level, we need to make ESG compliance a better understood process where standards among rating agencies, across industries and across jurisdictions become more consistent. That's vitally important, not least to answer those loud voices who accuse companies of greenwashing in response to the marketplace pressures.
This concept of reshoring and at the same time decarbonising is going to lead to problems for a lot of the currently developed world. I think there will be successes, and the third point I'm really making is I hope the UK will be one of the successes because of the very far-reaching and forward-looking decarbonisation policy, particularly around blue hydrogen, that the UK has enacted and hopefully we are able to help put together.
India has declared 2070 it will be zero carbon neutrality and all those. With these things are in the offing, all of us who are here, to think how to change our style, probably to welcome the new kind of thoughts and the new kind of outcomes which you are expecting.
Boards and senior leaders in organizations have a pivotal role to play in aligning the core values with a strong social commitment to ESG and its impact. Boards need to drive their organizations purposefully. They've got to make these goals and targets meaningful for the employees, for the stakeholders. There needs to be transparency throughout the organization, and for the bigger organizations in the room.
What do we actually do? How can we be effective as a board in carrying through an understanding of why we're doing it, how this relates to our shareholders, and the other questions, and so on. And therefore, making sure that you identify what needs to be done so that you actually are then effective as a board, not just say, we'll go away and do it.
But what happens is, over a period of time, 8 or 10 or 15 years, people, they take their board meetings not so seriously. People have a closed mindset that I'm there, been there, done that. And that is something which possibly needs to be challenged.
It has become a routine matter as we are seeing more and more climate extremes increasing in most frequency and increasing in intensity. We are truly looking down the cliff, and the only way to avoid that is to bring down the carbon emission, which is incommensurate with the cliff, the climate cliff that we are about to fall off.
After detailed deliberations on board dynamics and ESG, the delegates were treated to invigorating discussions on building a futuristic board which is diverse, tech-savvy, and understands inclusion.
Sometimes the X factor which makes them successful, and that X factor is more likely to be the ability to kind of intuitively grasp what's going to come next. And that intuition is, to me, the futuristic nature of businesses, where they can intuitively see the trends which are going to catch on and are able to redefine the business as per those trends.
We're talking about not a linear process of changing ESG. We should think differently. This is a disruption for each industry. This is not only startup, fintech, technology company. Today, somebody is thinking about how to disrupt your industry with sustainable solution.
Are we taking this concept of sustainability? Are we taking this concept of being cautious to the environment? Are we taking this concept of consuming with a sense of sacrifice to that child who's going to kindergarten and thereafter from there? So what does this mean? This means infusing our system of education right from the grassroots level.
The thoughtful deliberations were then followed by the highly anticipated Golden Peacock Award ceremony, where the leading voices of the industry came together to recognize the achievements of their peers in the field of corporate governance, ESG, sustainability, and risk management. The Right Honourable Sir Alok Sharma KCMG MP, President, COP26, and Member of Parliament for Reading West, UK, was the chief guest for the award ceremony and the convention.
We're going to be celebrating the achievements of those organisations that have undertaken significant initiatives to enhance their reputation, their governance and their sustainability practices.
For over the 3 decades, as you know very well, the Golden Peacock Awards have illuminated the path of corporate stewardship and exemplified global benchmark of excellence. The prestige it commands, not just within the shores of India, but also globally, remains unparalleled.
Thank you to all the organisers for organising this event. I know there's a lot that happens behind the scenes, so thank you for putting it together. And the World Gold Council is proud to be a gold partner that supports the IOD.
As we heard, these awards have a 30-year pedigree. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And they are an emblem of success. Absolutely, they're an emblem of success. They're a testament to the hard work of the winners, but also those who have participated. The sharing of best practice, I think, is a fabulous idea. So you learn internationally on what works. And ultimately, it is going to need all of you to help deliver this commitment on net zero for individual countries, but also for your businesses. The reason that I keep coming back, because of the vital work that the Indian Institute of Directors does.
After a highly stimulating Day 1, Day 2 of the convention saw further discussions and, most importantly, the case study presentations from award-winning companies on risk management, corporate governance and ESG.
You may have heard about the importance of purpose, people and planet priorities for sustainable business operations. Now, we believe at WTW these factors are essential, but they're incomplete. Performance and protection priorities are also required to fully capture the business fundamentals needed for long-term resilience and growth. That's 5 Ps. It's an easy framework to remember.
So my message to all of you is to keep an eye on the impacts of climate change and what is happening in the trajectory of global warming, and adapt your businesses, adapt your practices, and hear the voices of your consumers and customers, especially the younger generation.
We think very strongly that gold plays a critical role in supporting financial security and through that sustainability. And I think that's a really important part of the broader ESG sustainability landscape. Why? Because in order to be able to devote sufficient time and energy to supporting the planet and to supporting communities, everybody has to get comfortable and confidence that their own individual financial security is being looked after.
After 2 days, the setting of the convention shifted to the all-important House of Lords in UK Parliament on day 3 for the Global Luncheon Business Meet. This was a unique platform where senior and distinguished stakeholders of India-UK Business Corridor came together to deliberate on some of the topical bilateral economic issues.
This topic of this seminar was ESG, and that is what actually drew my attention, because there's nothing that I could discuss other than that. We talk about environment, societies, or social development, we talk about governance. I think a large part of us do it on our own in a big way. But I think right kind of partnerships can make the work more efficient.
So what more can we learn to get more unicorns both here and in India? To create those high value opportunities, that high growth, that high impact businesses that are really helping to power the new economies of the world, both in India and here in the UK.
Our two nations continue to pursue a path of cooperation and of development, working together to tackle some of the biggest global problems, and in doing so, securing economic prosperity for both our nations. JP Morgan have predicted that India's GDP will double to $7 trillion by 2030, and that India will be the 3rd largest economy in the world by 2027. I go one step further, and I say not only are USA and China the 2 superpowers in the world today, soon we will have India joining as a 3rd superpower in the world.
Why can't UK can become a gateway to Europe for India? I think it's an opportunity. The entire to third world countries and to other countries we can export through UK, the similar way that Dubai is doing.
We have now, over a period of time, been at the forefront of the legacy of taking forward the UK and India relations. As the custodians of Indian hospitality, we in fact make sure that we host anything that has anything to do with UK and India, and try to give a stage to even art, culture, history, even political relations.
The House of Lords also witnessed the felicitation of IOD Distinguished Fellows to senior industry leaders. Ms. Shriti Vadera of Prudential PLC UK was given this honour.
It is incredible for me to have got my heritage and my education and my values from a country that I still consider in part my home, and to have succeeded in a career over here and to be a part of an incredible community that have changed the face of this country in so many ways.
Next distinguished fellow was Mohit Ralhan of TIW Capital, Singapore.
If by 2045, which is a firm limit for TCG, you fast forward 20 years and look back, you will realize that 50% of world GDP will be Asia. But is that enough? No, it's not. Because with the saving cultures in Asia, with 30% saving rate, you're talking about $30 trillion of annual saving. Mind you, by 2045, West will have only $10 trillion of saving. So in the technology revolution, who owns intellectual property? Who owns real assets? And who owns financial assets? Those who save $30 trillion annually, or those who save 10. There's an opportunity, I strongly believe, for India and UK.
And the final honour was bestowed on Sir Ronald Colasso of Clark's Exotica, India.
We'll have to put our hands together to ensure that we address the social causes of the society, to restore communal harmony, which is very important. Otherwise, the society will not be conducive for the deserved economic growth.
The venue for the last day of the convention was the iconic Regent Street Cinema in London, where the delegates and participants congregated on a special session on Great Boards for Economic Growth and Resilience, hosted by the University of Westminster, Vice-Chancellor of University of Westminster, UK, Dr. Peter Bonfield, along with Professor Brendan Noble, accorded a warm welcome to the IOD India delegation. The session also saw the signing of MOU between Institute of Directors India and Banking Finance and Insurance Institute of Nepal. With the final session at the Regent Street Cinema coming to an end, the Institute of Directors India completed yet another successful edition of the London Global Convention, which received widespread appreciation for its value addition, its quality of deliberation, and the opportunities it provided to the practitioners and stakeholders of corporate governance and ESG. Brought to you by IOD.